What's up, Dr. Kim here. Today we're talking about how to become a psychologist. Now to attain this licensure right here, I'm going to break down all of the steps for you. So this has been a highly requested video, and you guys know I take video topics. Know that there are a lot of paths to becoming a psychologist, but I'm going to share with you my path, how I got there. Alright, so let's start with high school. You don't have to do well in high school in order to become a psychologist. I happen to have started off high school with a high GPA, honors courses, but that did waver a bit later on in high school as I got a little bit distracted with friends and other activities. So you don't have to be perfect in high school. Remember, our brains are still developing, and we might not even know our ultimate goal for our career at that time. This is a time to explore, to learn from mentors, to talk to people that have been in the field, to talk to a school counselor, figure out what it's really like to be a psychologist. Now, going into college, when it comes down to being a psychologist, you want to really hyper-focus on college. And you definitely want to be passionate about this field because you will spend a lot of years in school. There are a lot of benefits to becoming a psychologist. One is the variety. You can teach, you can write, you can do therapy, individual therapy, therapy on children, therapy on teenagers. You can treat people with addictions. You can go into sports psychology, industrial organizational psychology. There's a lot of variety. And even if you don't specialize right away with your internships, you can still go on and have variety in your career. Now, coming out of high school, graduating high school, you're going to go ahead and pursue your AA degree, or you're going to try to get a transfer if you know you're going to go into psychology. Then you just need courses to get through psychology to get into a bachelor's program. You can go straight into a 4-year university, or you could go from a community college and transfer into a 4-year university. If you're 100% certain that you want to be a psychologist, yes, you can go from high school to a 4-year degree and major in psychology. What I typically recommend is that you work in the field, at least starting in your junior year of college, but sooner is even better. You could volunteer or you could make money. It depends on what your lifestyle is. Volunteering is sufficient, especially as a bachelor's. You don't necessarily have to make money, but at least volunteer part-time in the field. Going through my bachelor's, I remember volunteering for a clinic in Huntington Beach. They were actually teaching people with schizophrenia life skills. Try not to overdo it with work at this time if you can, because you will have a lot of time that you need to spend interning. And if you're in California, for instance, going as a psychologist, you're not going to be paid for the initial internships. So while you're getting your bachelor's degree, make sure you're doing a little bit of work or volunteering just so you get that experience, that foot in the door when you go to apply for internships. The internships start after your bachelor's degree, so you get into your master's degree. Some schools combine master's and doctoral programs in one. So you may find a doctoral program actually gets you a master's degree along the way. But let's go back to bachelor's degrees for a second. At first, I thought I wanted to be in business. I thought that I wanted to be in business and marketing, but then I decided that I wanted something that was going to fill me up inside even more. So at that time, I switched my degree from business, even though I was almost done. So at that time, I switched my degree, which was business at the time, to psychology. Perspective is actually an interesting thing. I happened to have been grinding really hard on my internship at the time and my schooling, and I took a vacation because someone really wanted me to go. So I didn't really want to go on vacation. I really wanted to just hyper-focus on my business degree and getting that done. But I'm flying back from this trip from Spain, and I'm thinking to myself, I have this realization after a nap. I wake up, and I think to myself, you know what? I don't want to work a 9-to-5. I don't want to deal with a potential glass ceiling. Let me see if I can go into psychology. I'd love to be a psychologist. I think that's a good field where people respect you, where you can help people. And right away, I went in and I switched my major. So you don't necessarily know exactly what you want to do right away. And if you're on a different major and you're thinking about taking another route, remember that it's typical to switch majors. It's typical to switch careers multiple times throughout your life. When I talk to my peers, other psychologists, other MFTs, most of them, if not all, are stating high life satisfaction due in large part to their career choice. Again, because we have variety, we get to help people. We do have to watch for burnout because it can be tiring, especially if you don't mix it up. Okay, so now you've maybe worked through your bachelor's, got a little bit of volunteer or a little bit of work experience in the field, working at some clinic or residential treatment center, something like that. Then you're gonna work on your essays, maybe your entrance exam, maybe your GRE to get into graduate school. At this point, many students decide on whether or not they want to be MFTs, that's marriage and family therapist, or psychologist, which is doctoral level. If you want to be an MFT, you actually only need a master's degree and a couple more years of internship. If you want a doctoral degree, you need a bachelor's plus at least 4 more years of a graduate program, which includes master's and doctoral. So that would be 8 years total of college if you went all the way straight through. Sometimes financials are a barrier. I will say that I did go to school with some people who are not necessarily well off, and they were able to get some grants, some loans, so you could consider this for yourself even if you don't have a huge backing. But taking out a big loan is a serious consideration, so obviously talk to a financial advisor. Now let's say you're in the program, whether it's master's or doctoral that includes a master's. The first year, all you have to do is basically study. You're studying, you're taking tests, you're writing essays. That's the first year. The second year typically includes an internship. The internship is usually not paid. That could be 2 or 3 days a week in addition to the studies. Now let's move on to third and fourth year. Both third and fourth year of a doctoral program would include an internship. Sometimes they offer little stipends, but a lot of times they're not paid. You study, you take your exams, you write your essays, you enjoy the classes typically with maybe a little bit of stress weaved in, but you're enjoying it because this is your passion. It's not just a general ed class, you're really wanting to be there. And now the time comes to graduate. Graduation was incredible, and a lot of psych professors say the one thing that no one can take away from you is your degree. Once you have that master's or the doctoral degree, or even just a bachelor's degree, no one can take that away from you. It's a big part of your identity at that point. You graduate, maybe you take a little break in summer, and you get right into getting more licensure hours. In California, after you graduate, you're still going to need to accrue some more licensing hours. And your psychology board in your state will actually show this on the website, how many more hours you'll need after graduation. But this time you will definitely be paid for it. So you could work in a private practice, you could work at a residential treatment center under someone else's license, as long as they're working there with you. So you're working, let's say, your dream job. Maybe you're working at a rehab or a private practice, treating your ideal population and getting paid. Once you've acquired all your hours for licensure, then you're going to take a couple of exams. One exam is about ethics, and another exam is more about the field and treating others. These 2 exams are very doable. There are plenty of credible organizations that actually offer video courses, books, materials to study. I felt very well prepared, and I did pass the first time around. But even if you don't pass the first time, there's no anxiety needed. You get to take it again. These exams are challenging, but again, they're doable. I still think that they're easier than the bar exam from what I hear. It's really just putting in the time and not crunching for exams last minute. Throughout your graduate program, you get to explore different internships to figure out your ideal population that you want to work with. Whether that's kids or couples or people with addictions or eating disorders, you get to specialize. So dabbling and trying different internships is really important. That way you really get to hone in on what kind of populations you enjoy working with. There are so many fun things to do along the way, especially after you get your license. I can only speak for myself, but I've been able to be a director at a rehab. I've been able to be a sports psychology professor. I've supervised other interns. I've written a couple of books. One of them was a dissertation that I turned into a book. I've done some public speaking, psychological assessments. The list goes on and on. Myself and my peers get to have a lot of variety, and I'm sure you'll enjoy the career too if this is what you choose. Myself and my peers continue to be stimulated because this is a career where we get to help other people, we're constantly researching, we're constantly learning, and we get to mix it up sometimes if we get bored. So let me know in the comments if this helped, if you have any other questions or comments, and good luck and enjoy your career.